Welcome to Apaga University. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie. We are two
momtrepreneurs
who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love.
16 years later and over 100 podcast episodes already under our belts, we invite you to continue on this journey with us as we share stories that resonate, insights that inspire, and practical guidance that empowers you to face any obstacle along this path.
Whether you're a professional caregiver, a family member, or are simply curious about what your steps will be when you need them, you have come to the right place.
Oh, hey, and while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And after that, make sure you send this to a friend.
Yes, do it. All right, we'll quit fooling around and get to it.
Let's go. Class is in session.
Hello, Sunshines, and hello, Julie. How are you ladies doing today?
So good.
Great. I'm curious why Julie's separate from the sunshine part of the greeting.
You know, nobody ever brought that to my attention before.
And I'm used to it because
she is Sunshine and she is Julie as well.
Oh,
yes.
Maybe she's the North Star.
Oh,
something extra special.
Susan, this is why we have you come here.
I pulled it out. Yeah.
You're good for us.
That's awesome.
Well, listeners, today we have a really exciting episode for you. It's going to be a lot less Julie and Inga, so there's always a bonus to that. We have another guest speaker with us, and this is Susan Moore. She has brought a verse for us, so took all the work away, and she's doing it herself. So I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce your verse and read it to us.
Okay, my verse today, it's very hard to pick out one because a lot of them have meaning, right? As we would know. But Lamentations chapter 3 talks about how even with an affliction and wandering, which sometimes in our lives we feel that way, that verse 20 says, "Surely my soul remembers, though, and this I recall to mind. Therefore I have hope. The Lord's mercies indeed never cease. His compassion never fails. It is new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness."
You're hired, Susan.
So, it's sometimes you just get up and you think, today's a new day. Whatever happened yesterday, whatever I have to deal with today, God's got this. He's bigger than all those fears and worries and troubles. And every morning you can start new.
That is amazing, and that is something that we try to share on every episode to some degree or another, just that the importance of that positive and that, moving forward and God's blessing in our lives, and that's just wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So Susan actually works with us at Apaga Home Care. You came and started here helping with client care. Correct. And then we quickly realized how diverse she is and what a special individual. And so you started helping us with some of our nursing intakes and recertifications and those types of things. Right. And in the interim of all of that, you also were working for the hospital, and there was a job that you basically started the position and have built it, grown it up. And we wanted you to share that with us today, share that with our listeners, because we're so proud of you, A, and B, it's a really cool program, and what you've been able to do in a short period of time is very amazing. And I've been thinking about this a lot. I feel like I've seen other positions whether it's grant money or whether it's gifts or donations or things to start programs, sometimes the intentions are really good, but they never really get lifted off the ground. And there's not really a lot of action. It's always like planning and, this is what we're going to do, but we don't actually see things happening. So what you've done is it's amazing. And we're so excited to have you share it with us.
Yeah. Thank you. It was, I had worked as a nurse, there, bedside care in the step-down unit, cardiac, and then supervisor, and then a case manager. And then some of that was being reorganized, and I wasn't getting a lot of hours. And so that's when I picked up with y'all and found a new way to serve, which has always been great. And I love the families that I've been able to help in a small way. But this job, I saw it about several months before, Faith Community Nurse, and I'm like, well, that sounds interesting, given my life purpose. But I figured it was full-time, and I didn't know that much about it. But when all these things came together, I thought, well, let me look at that. And I talked to the person who was doing the hiring, and told her I was more interested in part-time. And she said, actually, they decided, since the program was funded with a grant, so it's through a philanthropic gift, and by a gentleman who'd seen this type of program before and was really impressed by it and felt like it had a special place that could do, something a little different. And so he gave the gift, and we talked about it, and she decided I kind of fit based on just my knowledge of the system because of the different jobs I had, but also my background of faith and life choices and things like that. So yeah, we started back in April of 23, and at first it was just me, and we reached out to a bunch of different faith communities because the program is such that we represent faith communities. And so whole person health is mind, body, and spirit. And you can have much more depth to your quality of life and to the purpose that you have and to where you draw your strength and inspiration with the spiritual realm as part of your focus. And so the healthcare system doesn't really address that, right? There's a whole lot of physical and mental stuff that, takes precedence with healthcare. And so we can speak to all three parts. And so I work with those faith communities and those individuals, and I pray with them. We talk about our spiritual strength and help and life and family and things like that. And then I also am a navigator within the system to help advocate for them, help them. I go to doctor's visits with people, and I just connect them with resources. And that's been a huge part of connecting with y'all at APAGA, and then healthcare coalitions and Agency on Aging. And the things that I learned as a case manager were out there, but the depth and the bandwidth that we actually have has been able to just become more aware, and it's great to be able to share that with people. So
it's amazing. And so when you started this, did you just go and reach out to churches, or how did you get yourself out into the community to let people know that you were here and what you were doing?
Yeah. So actually my, I don't know if you call boss or, and mentor, Allison Mielicki, she works with the foundation. So she kind of initiated that and wrote letters, I guess, to different faith congregations and said, we have this program. We designed a brochure kind of based on research that we did about programs across the country. She had never heard of this program before. So she went online. She's like, oh, it's everywhere. Parish nursing, kind of like. And so we just told them what we were doing and met with different church leaders. And some people said yes. And some people said, we're not interested right now. They had a different idea of what they wanted, if they were going to do a program, how they wanted that to work. And a lot of it was, they would love that kind of program, but not affiliated through Logan Health, and this is who was offering it. So right. That was part of the package deal, right?
Yeah.
So we, with just myself, partnered with 3 different congregations, and then we picked up another nurse who works with a congregation in Big Fork. And we had meetings with them, and then they have like their little committees and boards, and then I was introduced to the congregations and told them a little bit about me, my background, and things like that. And so we just kind of started out, and I knew from studying like a blueprint of what an organization would look like, that not only do we have individual relationships and support for those congregation members, but we do, like, for the whole community at large, health and wellness events. So we've had classes from the stroke team from Logan Health would come to a class, the palliative team, the cardiac nutrition team, the diabetes education team. So helping, setting all that up has been a big part of it. And again, because I worked there for 5 years or 6 years before, I knew these people, and I would just, it wasn't anything formal. I would just go talk to them and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Can you come do a meeting for us? And they always were very gracious and say, yeah. And the wellness coaches at Logan Health Fitness have come, and that's been a lot of fun, and they've been very supportive. And we've had attendees from 5 to 20, And every time I go, I'm like, I'm a nurse. I should know all these topics, but I learned something myself. That's been very helpful. And we also had Julie come and do a really great talk for us because she's an Alzheimer's educator in the community. And that was very well attended because that's on everybody's mind right now. So we've done that, and then we've done some exercise classes partnering with MSU Extension and a National Strong People program. And
I have to cut in for just a second because so we are very involved with 4-H and those types of things. And so you were working with the extension agent on the Strong People, and he has talked to me many times and so complimentary of you, saying that over time, they've tried to get this Strong People program up and going, and were never able to actually get any movement in it until they got involved with you, or you got involved. However that came about, I'm sure it was you. So, and you, how many of those classes have you done?
So we did 2 sessions, starting in the beginning of the year, kind of ramping up and working up towards it in the fall or winter, really getting people, to know what was going on and what it was all about, and then finding a place and promoting it. So we did 2 8-week sessions, and then now we had to take a break for the summer because MSU Extension is like, they run 4-H, and then we'll start again in the fall. We're doing some other senior healthy activity stuff this summer to kind of take the place, but. Yeah, when I'm trying to remember how I found out about the program, and I saw it was connected with the extension. So I just called them, and they said, "Oh, that's Rick you want to talk to." And he said, "Yeah, we've reached out," and he named a couple agencies he'd been to that weren't interested, had their own thing going, and I'm like, "Well, let me give it a shot." And he's like, "Go for it." And I could tell there was
silly girl.
I could tell there was skepticism there, and I would email him my progress, and so he's like, "Okay," and he's like, as we really started to ramp it up, and I said, we're going to start our first class. I have the location. He's like, "How many people you think will come?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think what's your minimum?" And he said, "I think at least 10. And I'm like, "Okay." And I think I got 10. And then I said, "I think I'm going to have 20. And he's like, I said, "How big is too big?" He said, "I don't know, any more than 20. And we've had up to 33 in one class.
That's
good for
amazing.
But we run in the high teens, low 20s, most of the time. But it's been so much fun, and he does such a great job. He's a little more structured, military background. And I'm kind of in the background. I'm his comic relief, He's like, I know Susan's dancing back there behind me to some song, one of these songs, and he blames some of the older songs on me. But I'm like, But we've had such a great program with that, just connecting, and people. It's good for your body, obviously, balance, strength, prevent falls, which prevents hospitalizations, but also people who never knew the person sitting next to them in the chair or standing up. People have developed relationships, and we cut up with each other, and they was like, "Can we do more?" And it's been really cool.
I called a handful of people that you had said that you had met through our company that they might be really good looking for opportunities for that. So I called those families, and then I actually called my aunt.
Yes.
And so she brings a friend.
Yeah.
And it's just excellent for her to get up and going, and just, for anybody, but she just really actually, I wasn't thinking she'd be so excited about it, but
she's been all the time she can, barring some illnesses and things like that they had in the through the season.
I've heard it is a good workout too, because some of our caregivers are taking their clients to this, and they're like, "Oh, my legs are burning,"
and I didn't even do the squats.
What a cool thing!
It's been fun. I mean, God gave us a mind, a body, and a spirit, and taking care of all of it is optimal health. And I really enjoy meeting people, and then they know who I am. And if they have a problem with the system, like our healthcare today, y'all have heard me say it, is like Swiss cheese. People fall through the cracks. There's missing pieces. And if our program can just be one more layer to catch a problem or
somebody. Person. Yeah.
And again, it's not that the people that I represent get special treatment. It's just that because I know perhaps a specific person at that office that I can email and say, "Hey, could you just put this on your radar?" And, I think it's been helpful to some people. And yeah.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the concept kind of is to be able to work with these congregations, to be able to reach within the congregation, and then something that we've always talked about, because Julie has done a lot of teaching things over time. And usually when you can go to a safe place, so go to their church, they may feel more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Attending. Yes.
Absolutely. And we have 2 congregations that have hosted events. And I do have lots of times, especially at the beginning when everything was new, better attendance, from the home congregation. But part of the goal as well is to help those church families, like we like to think of ourselves, to start to learn to take care of their own, to help them develop programs like meals to their, sick or shut-ins and, fragile, disenfranchised, all that. And then also to help them, some of them are very, very committed to outreach in the community. And so to help them develop programs where they can not only bless their own number, but start to, be the hands and feet of Jesus in the community. And so that's one real cool thing that we're working on now with this respite program that we've been learning about and starting on that, which y'all are involved with that as well. And that's going to be really exciting if we can get that going to bless the whole community.
It's just amazing to me and mind-blowing how much you've been able to get done in not a very long period of time. But I think it's just your motivations are correct and your why is in the right place. And so
I think I've got some extra help along the way, because sometimes it feels like, how can I get all this done? And, I feel like God helps me.
Well, and they also say to get anything done, ask a busy person.
Well, and then when you're up to here with things, then we call and say, oh, by the way, we have 8 new intakes that we need you to do. And somehow you always get it done.
Let me figure it out.
Well, just so today, bouncing her in. Okay, you need to come over here. We need to talk with you.
That's okay. A model of flexibility, for sure.
No. Well, I come from a long line of hard workers. My parents on my mom's side were farmers, some on my dad's side ranchers, and we grew up more suburban and Georgia, but I feel like that legacy of hard work, sun up to sundown, not instant gratification, but just the sense of purpose and self and satisfaction that comes from the fruit of your labors is come by it honestly.
Well, what Inga is saying is spot on, because there are so many programs that we see and that are not even affiliated with medical, but just different groups that they have great ideas and they've got some money to back them up and this and that and the other, and they get all hot and bothered and fired up, and then nothing happens. But because you have to find that person, the boots on the ground, that's really passionate about what they're into and get things done, because not all programs are as lucky because they don't have a Susan.
Well, I have some big ideas sometimes that I think, well, let's just do it. And everybody's like, well, there's this step. And I'm like, okay, let's just do it.
I love that. That's kind
Your
of
point is
the attitude that we've always had here too.
Yeah.
We get an idea and we're like, we want to
make
do
it
this,
happen.
and you just figure it out. And, and we realize that we are not figuring out by ourselves, because as you're saying, there's a lot of assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, actually, and controversial to touch, but I don't like a lot of committee work.
Right.
Because sometimes it gets so stuck in segmented into a committee that it takes so much longer. Usually if I have an idea, I'll grab Inga and I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And she will say, oh my goodness, that's great. 99.9% of the time. That 0.1 time she's like, that's the most harebrained thing I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, I thought so too. And back to the drawing board.
I just needed you to tell
me. Well, part of it is because it's new and because I don't have a lot of committee
approval
steps I have to go through, because we're building it ourselves. That, and that whole thing, forgiveness is easier to get than permission sometimes.
I love that.
I'm just going to do it, and then it's a success, and all that stuff got sidestepped, but it worked out okay. So that's good.
I was wondering if part of your ability to be able to get things done is because of that. Basically, you kind of have the program to build and not necessarily having to go through a lot of, we got to ask this person, got to ask this person, got to ask this person, and which I'm sure there's still some of that, or maybe there's supposed to be, and you're just still operating.
Well, I always run things through my boss,
Sure,
and she's got tons of experience. She ran the ER both in California and here, and then's worked at the foundation for many years, over a decade. So I run things by her just to make sure, but then she kind of like gives me support, and then I do what I do.
Go do it.
Yeah.
It always seems like it gets it kind of jammed up when you've got, like Julie's saying, that committee of 30 people and everyone has input and thinks that something needs to be just slightly different. And so it's good that you have a good boss that you're working with and can bounce those ideas off of and get the support and then go do it.
Yeah. I love it.
You always seem very joyful when you talk about it. Does it bring you a lot of joy?
It does. I feel like I talked to a patient yesterday, and we were talking about some things. They were in ICU, and a whole crew had just rolled in after a major surgery, and it's very fraught with tension, and everybody's like worried something's going to go wrong. And I said, see, that's why I'm not an ICU nurse and I wasn't an ER nurse, because that type of instantaneous reaction and knowing what to do and adrenaline, that's not me. But the caring, compassionate, connection, so it suits my strengths. I very much feel that way, just the nature of the job itself, but that it's built on a spiritual foundation and principles that of living a life looks like Jesus as much as I can. I mean, none of us do that perfectly. Then that really resonates.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to find your place. And when it's in healthcare, it's got to match you and your personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I helped somebody one time when I was working up at the hospital get a internship at the ER for her PA program. And evidently she really, really hated it, because she actually ended up, and she's still there after 20 plus years, at the dermatology office.
Oh, okay.
And so I am quite sure that after the ER, she knew that it was
the
not
pace
for her.
The pace is not for everybody.
And it's the adrenaline. And it's that, because I love the ER when I was there. I loved it. The place I couldn't work, which is very weird, is the OB department, because every time I knew there was a new baby being born, I was just like such a miracle. I'm like,
spent her whole day just bawling.
Goodness.
She comes across like she's got a tough exterior, but she's really a big softie.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
that's with nursing and healthcare, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, and there's a lot of different personality types that it suits them. And, I had a patient that I was helping as a case manager in the ER, and she'd been, I guess, injured, and they were really watching her close, and everything was good. It was like 24 hours later, and then I'm like, okay, you can go home. But she had to ride a bus home back east side of the state. And because in the ER, they're focused on keeping you alive and stable. Sometimes those little personal touches don't happen. And I said, have you eaten anything? And no, not since she got there. I'm like, okay. So I packed her a lunch to take with her to go home. It's just a difference of, plus I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And there's that little bit of nurturing coming in there. Yeah. So it takes a village to take care of people and to fill all the needs and all the little niches. And
wow.
It is true.
Different
it
people
is
have
true.
different strengths.
And it's good that we find our little spot where we need to be, where we've been put, and that's one thing that every day when I drive into town, that's kind of my quiet time. And I always just say, please put me where I'm supposed to be today, or if somebody comes to me, can I say the appropriate thing, and that's kind of what you're talking about, is just put me where you want me. Where am I going to be the most benefit for your plan?
There has been some stories since I started this job, because I do pray that I'm, saying and doing the right thing and at the right time. And that I'm like, how did that even all come together?
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I just, God put me where I was needed.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Very.
That is cool. What else? Is there anything else you'd like to share just about the nursing and the program is so amazing.
It is. I hope that it continues. It'll have to get new funding to continue, and it is a legitimate program. We didn't just make it up. I actually went to a course and am certified as a faith community nurse to put people at ease on that, because some of the leadership of the different congregations were just wondering who is this random person and how,
Interesting.
So there is a certification for it, national certification. So there is that. But we hope to grow in the community, because just being, the congregation in Big Fork and then the ones that I represent up here, there's a whole lot of people that's not included in that. And even our community events, getting the word out we're doing as much as we can, but I would love to see this be able to bless a whole lot more people in the valley if we could just.
It is so needed. We have spent our years of being here trying to get people to prior proper plan, and they don't know what that means until they're educated. But the ones that need the education aren't the ones that are showing up half the time. And so you have to, what is it that's going to catch their attention, and that at that perfect timing they needed that,
right?
But community education is huge,
right?
Huge. And people then they get nervous. Oh, I don't want to go to this meeting by myself. Well, it's at your church.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I can do that.
Right.
But it's a challenge. We talk about it all the time, trying to get any meetings together. People are also so darn busy.
Yeah.
Do you have a 10 a.m. meeting, or do you have a lunch meeting, or is it
hard.
The early evening? And boy,
y'all have done some great work in the community and getting the awareness out there of the needs and being advocates for people. I just see y'all's passion and heart for that so much, and it's just been a joy to partner with y'all on all the stuff that
we were lucky
together.
to get you to join our family. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was a
God thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Well, that's awesome. So we generally wrap up our podcast with some type of grandma saying or stories. And you maybe indicated that you reached out to some family and got some funny stuff.
I did. Like I said, from my mom's side of the family, she was one of 10 kids. Her dad was a dairy farmer early on, and then he transitioned to beef. And he was in the state of Louisiana. He was kind of famous for his dairy herd, and they would come and send people to learn about it. And so 10 kids, they got up at 4 every morning and milked the cows. And, when kids they'll complain, right? Yeah. So I know a couple things that of the 10 kids and their spouses, and there was 52 grandchildren, and now, they've passed, but tons of great grandchildren. And one of them was Papaw. He would say to the boys, no matter what the weather was, and up here it gets bad. They were from Louisiana, so it wasn't that bad. This little old weather won't hurt you. And I never heard of anybody dying from hard work. And then a pulling mule can't kick. So if somebody's doing work, then they're not going to be, ornery, I guess, And Mamaw, one thing that she said that I had to think about, she's like, one of the girls was whistling, and I don't know if women didn't whistle back then, or she thought she was being flippant, or I don't know, but she said a whistling woman and a cackling hen always come to some bad end. I'm like, okay. Do I need to control my words? We had an old lady that we used to know going camping, and she had a sign and said, she answered some questions, said, so now you know, and you don't have to ask me when you go into her store. And Bill's like, what's up with that? She said, well, I think you only have so many words in your life, and once you've used up your allotment of words, then you're done. And Bill looked at me, that's my husband, and he said, Susan, you're going to die. So I have to work on using my words more judiciously and sparingly.
Oh, man. But probably me too.
I think the best example I have with my grandparents is just hard work. My grandmother was 4'11", and she had 10 kids at home, and she was always cooking or gardening or taking care of people. And if I could live my life the way she did, then I feel like I will have accomplished something.
Oh.
Yes.
All the feels.
All
Where's
of
the
them.
cryometer?
Yes,
Wow.
that's I love that. I love that when people have such a good connection with their family and they're so happy to share that.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
I have some
Love
good
it.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan,
y'all.
for being here with us, for sharing with us, and
Yeah,
we-
what you're doing is a big deal. We love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
peace out, Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.
The Caregiven name is a registered trademark of the Veritrust Health Incorporated Company. IPAGA is not connected to, affiliated with, or endorsed by Veritrust or any of its affiliates.